Hello, so we are almost there. So we are now at iteration number 5, where we want to implement the rest of the conversions for all the units that we decided to do. And by finishing iteration 4 and converting from feet to inch, what is left is just mechanical because we have all the steps. We need to grab the conversion factor for each of those other units and go from there. So if I go back and still applying the process, still we're going to be disciplined and apply the process. Don't fall into the temptations to ignore it. So we have iteration number 5, convert for all units. And it might be a lot to say all units. Maybe we can break it down. It's fine if you decide to break it down. Say I'm gonna convert from feet to all units first, then I'm gonna convert from inch to all units, then mile to all units, and so on. If you want to do that, that's fine with me. It doesn't matter. I think I can lump sum them together because it's kind of the same process, but we can break it down too. So the first step is problem formulation. And in the problem formulation, we define the scope and we define the testing. How are we going to test the scope? The scope is to convert from all units. And what are the units? The ones we selected: feet, inch, mile, meter, kilometer. So 5 units. Let's convert from all units to all other units. And then the testing, how are we gonna make the testing? So we need to create testing scenarios. So we need to create some table here. So we say that different scenarios, what is the unit from, or maybe we can say the same amount. So we can use amount and say from, and then to as the unit, and then the expected result. So I'll say let's start with test scenario number 1, or maybe we can call it 5.1, and we'll say we're going to use amount 10, and we start with the one we had before, from feet to inch. The expected result will be 120. How about 5.2? We're going to go from 10 inch to feet. So we divide over 12, so that's going to be point something. So we can actually run that number so that we can see how it will be. So 10 over 12, so that's going to be 0.83. We can do number 3, let's say mile to feet. So in order to get to the rest of them, we need to figure out what the conversion factor is. I can just do, maybe I'll do kilometer to meter. So this is 1,000, so this will be a 10,000. And then I can do, I'm trying to choose something where I select each item from the list, at least one item from one list. But in a case like this table will need to be all the units. So we need to have a testing scenario for all the units. Maybe the 10, and I can build the table, just we need to do the research on the conversion factor, and I was going to do that in the second step, but since I was stuck with it, why don't we just do it here? So yeah, so let me stop and come here and create the conversion factors. So we'll say from, to, and then the factor. So I'm going to go from feet to inch, the factor is 12. From feet to feet, the factor is 1. How about the rest? Well, let's ask Google. So come here, let's launch Chrome, and we'll check if there are conversion tables. You can do that. So we say convert from feet to inch. So Google give you that table, which is kind of similar to our app. So I'm going to go from inch, and I want to do the mile. So here is the factor, 3 zeros after the 1, so to mile will be 0.123. 1, maybe stop there and say 19, and then to meter. So change this to meter, 0.3048, and kilometer, we'll divide this by 1,000, another one, and we can use this application from Google as the test. So we don't have to create a test table, although it's good that you create one. But since there's one available that you know, we can just open this and open our app and compare the numbers to make sure that the numbers are the same. So this is the feet conversion factor. Let's go to inch. So inch to inch is 1. Inch to feet. So I'll change this from feet to inch to foot. That's 0.083. Inch to mile, that's going to be a very small number. So 1.578 e to minus 5, meaning that 10 to minus 5. And then meter, 0.0254, and then kilometer at 3 zeros. And same goes for the rest of them. So that's the conversion and the testing. Then we go to the next step, which is, we'll say here 5.2 solution formulation. And I have the model, and the model was created in the previous iteration, so no change from the previous iteration. The view. So in the view, I noticed some changes I need to make in the previous iteration. So adjust the label color and adjust the keyboard if you don't like the and the label size and alignment. And then for the new one, there's no change in the view. So no change in the view whatsoever. In the controller, I need to, so I already used the if statement to check if the unit from is equal to feet. And then inside it, I made another check if the unit to is equal to the inch. Now, what if I am at feet? What if the unit 2 is not feet, it's an inch? So there is an addition to the if statement called else, and you can put another condition with it. So it say else if the unit 2 equal feet, and then you open, you close, and you do what is needed. Then you add another else if, and then you keep going for the rest of the units. And when you're done with the units 2, you go to the outer, which is the else if, and check for, and so on. So we'll use the else if to deal with the remaining different units. So that then takes us to the last step here, which is 5.3 solution implementation. And what I need to do is to go to the convert function and implement the units, all the unit 2 in case from is feet. So I'll just stay with the case feet as from and implement all of them. Then change, then add inch as from and implement all units. Then add mile as from and implement all units. Then add meter as from and implement all units. Then add kilometer as from and implement all units. I'm just going to do the feet and the inch, and then I'll leave the rest for you to do. It's going to be exactly the same as the others. So let's go ahead and do that. So first, the label is, I have a warning here on the label. There is a pattern, a color pattern that's not supported, and in the label I chose this gray, which is not supported, so I'll just change it to something else. I'll use that, and it takes the warning away. And the keyboard on the text field gave us this warning, so maybe the decimal pad is not much, so I can change to one of them. I can use the default, which will mean I'll have to change to a number, or we actually got the decimal pad, so we can ignore this warning. It did not stop us. Another thing on the label, I needed to increase the size and make it in the centered. Then I go to the view controller. I already retrieved the amount, so I don't need to do that again. I retrieved the unit from, so I don't need to do that again. I retrieved the unit to, so I don't need to redo that again. Then I compare the unit to inch. So here's what I was talking about, that we're going to stick to unit from as feet. But with the unit from as feet, there are multiple possibilities for the unit to. The first possibility is inch. Then I can add after the inch, say else if, and then add unit to, and check for another possibility, which is feet. And then if that is the case, then the result will equal amount multiplied by 1. Then the third possibility is that unit 2 is equal to mile. Make sure that whatever you type here is exactly the same as what you typed here. Otherwise, the comparison, like if you have here mile and you use miles, the comparison will come back false. So make sure they are the same. So result will equal amount multiplied by, so what is the conversion for mile? 3019. Then the else if unit 2 equal meter. So result equal amount multiplied by 0.3054, I believe, 48. Then finally, else if unit 2 equal, the last case is the kilometer, and in that case the conversion factor is 3 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 3048. Step 5 doesn't need to change because the amount and the result will change. The unit 2, unit from will change automatically. What's this series of if-else statements? It's a series of instructions. The first one, we're telling the processor or the computer or the device computing to check if the unit 2, which is a string, is equal to this value. If this condition is true, whatever inside the true block will be executed, which is this line. If this is true, then automatically the rest of them are false, so they will be skipped. And then come here and it will evaluate. If this unit 2 inch is false, then it's going to come to the else. The else meaning that it's the same as it's spelled. That in that case, then if that's false, then check this one. So as if we're attaching another if. So if this is false, check if this one is true. Unit 2 equal feet. If that is true, then apply this. If that is also false, then you come to the third one. If it's true, do this. If not, then check the fourth one. Then check the fifth one. So what if none of them is true? Is that possible? the user, one of the beautiful things about using the picker view is the user have no option to add something else. If we have used the text field to enter the unit, the user could have entered so many different things and many different variations as they type, and it would have made our life here very, very difficult. But the picker view allows the user to select without entering, so I know exactly what the user will select, so I can compare with them. Since this is a big piece and a big chunk by itself, let's go ahead and test it. So whether you did this as its own iteration or you did it as part of one iteration, since it's a step with a big bulk in it, let's go ahead and test it. So I'll run. And we can test the scenario, which is I'll put 10, or we can get the Google, so I'll put here 10. And I'll choose feed from, so I'm only implemented so far the from as the unit. So feet, and then I'll convert to inch. So convert, it's inch, feet, and then convert. 10 feet is 10 feet. Then mile, convert. So it should be 0.0. Because I have 0.02. In the case of mile, it's more than 0.02, so I'm seeing 0. So probably in the result, I need to make this bigger. So maybe I can put 6 here. And then I'll have to run again. So I changed that because I noticed it's coming to 0. So that's what it says, that it can't use the decimal pad. So I thought that we were able to see a pad, but not. So let's go ahead and change the pad as well, the number pad, because I don't have you're not going to have a computer when we are on the device. So we change this to number and punctuation, and see if this will give us a keyboard. Still not getting a keyboard. We'll enter and then see the keyboard. So continue with this, the mile, the meter, and the kilometer. So all the data are correct, so I have this working fine. So then I go back, and so now I applied everything to the unit from being feet. So now what if the unit from is inch? So I come at the end of the block for the unit from, the end of the block for the unit from, and say else if unit from equal, now it's not a feet, it's not a feet this time, so we'll say inch. When the unit from is inch, I'll have to check for all the unit 2 as well. So I'll say if unit 2 equal inch, so result equal amount multiplied by 1. Else if, which is similar to what I did before, the unit 2 equal feet, then the result equal amount multiplied by, and I think I had that one, so I can do it from here, inch to feet, 0.083. Then else if unit 2 equal mile, result equal, oh, I need another one here, amount multiplied by, so if this is mile, 1, and you can, by the way, enter exactly like that, 1.578. So you say 1.578 e to minus 5. This is a valid notation. Else if unit 2 equal meter, 0.0254, amount multiplied by 0.0254, and then else if unit 2 equal kilometer, result equal amount multiplied by 0.1230254, just to confirm, or 254e minus 5. So we can do the same thing, 254e minus 5. So that's this in case of a unit from is an inch. And then you have other cases, the unit from equal mile, or the unit from equal meter, or the unit from equal kilometer. And in each one of them, we'll just need to repeat the same thing too and enter all the others. But I'll leave you to do that yourself. You just need to grab those lines and change the factors for each one of them. Let's test the inch. So we'll put here 10 and say inch to inch, convert. So it's 1 inch to feet, 0.83 inch to mile. So I'll basically multiplying by 10 here, inch to meter, inch to kilometer, and here are the conversions and the testing of those conversions. So we'll stop here, and in the next video, completing the remaining 3 units, that will suffice for the required part of this project. The next video will be an extra credit where now when the user makes a selection, we have to click on the button. So we'll need to, we will implement activate or the response to those selections so that whenever the user moves one of those, the conversion is implemented automatically and we don't have to click a button again. And we'll do the same when the user hit the keyboard. We'll do the same thing as well in here, and we'll look into the display of the keyboard. So thank you.